I meet a lot of guys who say they've either started a cafe racer and never finished it, or they want to build a cafe racer. So I'm doing me a cafe racer project right here. One of the hardest things on your cafe racer project is that front wheel, believe it or not. So I'm gonna do a whole video just on this front wheel. And I know the answer to a lot of people is to go ahead and toss a set of, GSXR forks on there, maybe some CBR forks, upside down front end, show a suspension. That's really not in tradition with the cafe racer. And if you don't know about the history of cafe racers, it's really cool. It starts at the Isle of Man TT race. And if you don't know about the Isle of Man TT race, and you can't build a cafe racer. So watch some videos on that, because it's all part of the why we're going to make it look a certain way. The big things that make these not look good as cafe racers: don't get a smaller front wheel. And this is a sport model, and you'll see it on the sporting models. And this is actually the Canyon Racer version of this bike, with these mag wheels. But you want to recreate the 60s look with a cafe racer, spoke wheels are the way to go. Sometimes it's not feasible. And you got a 16 in the back. That makes this thing look like a chopper. You want the front of the bike to be a little bit lower. When we put that smaller wheel up front, we're going to bring the front end down. So I'm going to try to use these forks. We'll get a spoked wheel up front that's 17 inches. Crikey's, mate. Now that is a proper British cafe racer wheel. Here's the old 19-inch. There's the cool racing model. If you can't tell the difference, you're a bloody winker. It's not only wider, but it's much shorter. It's a 17-inch. You want spokes because they look cool. Cafe racers have a pretty neat history. But after World War II, when the veterans got back from killing Nazis, they bought motorcycles. They bought Harley Davidsons. They cut the back fenders off. They cut the front fenders off, chopped them down. They became known as choppers. So if you want to know more about that, you can watch a movie called Inglourious Bastards. That's a pretty good documentary on killing Nazis. And then a movie called The Wild One with Marlon Brando. Meanwhile, in England, or Great Britain, the same thing was happening. After the Brits watched us kill Nazis, they came back and rode motorcycles, except they had BSAs, Triumphs, things like that, and they chopped them down and made cafe racers out of them. That was the birth of the cafe racer. Same kind of thing. If you want a documentary on Brokeback Mountain's a good one. And if you want to see more about cafe racer culture, just watch any Culture Club video. Yeah, obviously I'm joking about the Brits. I've got two buddies at work that are both from England. I'm just giving them hell. Now we'll get into the history of these cafe racers. It's pretty cool on my video about the donor bike. It's a pretty neat history with the Ace Cafe and the rockers. You couldn't just come back from World War II and buy parts from AliExpress. You had to make this shit yourself. So that's what we're doing here. We're making our own brake caliper mounts. There's one big problem. I just ordered this used off eBay, not even knowing what it fits. Didn't really care. It's got the big rotor on it. That means racing. So that doesn't fit. We're going to make that fit. Look at the bearings. The bearings are way too big for this axle. We're going to have to solve that problem. Easy. First, we have to take these bearings out. You ever notice on your wheels, these little floppy things in between the bearings go around the axle? They serve two purposes. One, when you tighten this wheel down, the inside of this bearing makes contact with that, and it doesn't bind the bearing, and it makes contact with the bearing on the other side, so it gives it a surface to tighten against. Two is, you gotta have that in there to get the bearings out. You flip-flop it to the side, it exposes an edge, and you hammer something on that edge and knock it out. Those things are held in place by a couple of pieces of rubber, almost like a rubber ring inside here. So you can really squish them over. You're not gonna hurt them. What you end up doing is knocking the bearing on the bottom out with that tube. These dust covers just pop off. I won't even replace them. I keep my bikes pretty clean. And it's a good thing I didn't start hammering away. Underneath this dust cover is a clip. I would have definitely not ever got that bearing out. I've never seen a wheel like this before. That's interesting. Snap ring pliers for this kind of wheel for sure. And there's that snap ring. Look at that. The hardest part is catching that edge initially. So I find it's easier to use a thinner pin than something that fits in there perfectly. And then I can fit a screwdriver in there also and hold it over. So I'm going to use my screwdriver and push it over so it exposes the edge of that spacer in there. But I'm also going to put this in where I can get the edge of that spacer and give it a tap. Now the edge of that spacer has a little more flop room and can come over better. You see the edge of the spacer there. Then I can put a socket in there. Now with the spacer held over, I can drop this in there and make contact with. Don't be worried about beating up that spacer. They're all beat up, it's fine. Now I can tap on that and that bearing will slide right out. Here's that bearing right here. Here's that spacer. And this one does not have the rubber rings around it. That's a pretty good quality spacer. Yeah, so it's just in there flopping around, and that's fine. Once you drive that bearing out, the other bearing is super simple. You just take something bigger than the bearing and put on this side of it and hammer it out. If you can't get your bearings out, you can take a little torch, take some heat this aluminum. It'll expand faster than steel because it's aluminum, and the bearings sometimes will just fall right out. This axle for those forks is 15 millimeters. Now this is a 6303 bearing, so I'm guessing the outside is 47 millimeters, the inside 17. The width of these bearings don't matter that much because we're making our own spacers. They make bearing reducers. They're steel sleeves. They'll be 15 millimeters on the inside, 17 millimeters on the outside. They'll slide right in that bearing. I'll use those on swing arms, maybe steering tubes, things like that. I would never use one on a wheel. Things going too fast. I don't trust them. But what they do make also is they'll make bearings. They're kind of rare. They're downsized bearing. A 47 millimeter outside and a 15 millimeter inside. They put bigger ball bearings in there. I'm going to get that size of bearing and replace them so this wheel fits that axle. These are really nice bearings. They're Koyo, made in Japan. That's as good as they get. That's a really nice wheel, actually. No one knew what it fit on eBay, so I bought it knowing I could adapt it to fit what I needed. So I got a really good deal on it. XL rim. When you drive a bearing out, you're driving it from this inside race. That bearing is no longer any good. I would probably still reuse these even though it's recommended not to. So when I install these, I'll drive them in from the outside. I'll find something that's as big around as that outside race and drive them in. And usually the old bearing is the perfect device to drive one in with. Place it on top of there, hammer it in. So keep your old bearings to drive the new bearings in, but if you've driven them out by the inner race, don't reuse them. Dissimilar metals, aluminum wheel, steel bearings, always gets some of this anti-corrosive compound on it, anti-seize. Got my new bearings, freezer. When you freeze stuff, it makes it smaller. They're gonna just drop right in. Don't you want to punch people when they say that? Just heat it up, it'll fall right out. Freeze it, it'll drop right in. Never works like that. So anyway, you find something big enough that it goes on the outer steel part. You don't want to beat on that part right there. Look at that, going right in, crooked. Time delay video. You missed all the cussing. I guess I'll reuse this snap ring. I've never seen one of those before. And if you didn't put this in, it wouldn't make a dam. The only thing that does make a dam, and you don't want to forget, you do not want to forget that. That centerpiece has to go in there. The frozen bearing drops right in. So you want to make sure that thing is tight. You want to make sure those bearings are seated in there right. Otherwise, when you tighten the wheel, it'll compress them more. And since we're dealing with all new spacers, all new spacing, we need those spacers to be exact. We don't want to measure our spacers, put them in there, then tighten this wheel and have those bearings move. But we're not going to worry about spacing until we get the brake caliper adapter made and the brake caliper on and it tightened to the fork. This whole wheel may be a little bit off side to side. The whole spacing is going to be based on that rotor. Zip tie. You just want to get your front tire kind of centered and make sure those bolts clear on the rotor because these stick out further. Another quality bracket being made at Ghetto Labs. And there is one kick-ass brake caliper adapter. We bolt our caliper on, and of course we're going to make all this ourselves. We're recreating the old ways of the cafe racer when you couldn't buy stuff online. You had to make it yourself. You had to reuse stuff, chop it up. Now that that's on, you can lift the bike up and spin the wheel, and that's where our wheel is going to sit because we have clearance now with that brake disc. Pretty well centered still. Now we're going to space the wheel. We're going to measure how big these spacers need to be. It's almost impossible to measure those in there. So what I do is I just stack them full of washers, spacers, everything like that, and then I measure my stack. So here's like a stack of stuff I'm going to put in there. They're not even 15 millimeters inside. I don't even care. I put the brake on. Everything's on. I've pumped the brake a couple of times to try to center that caliper. You can see it's over to one side too far and it drags if you listen to it. Take out one of these washers and add it over here. That doesn't hit the bolts. That's a centered caliper. And I got spacers on both sides and the forks aren't flexing in. 41.5 for the caliper side. Once I determine the measurements I want, I go on to eBay. And you can find these things anywhere, but I always use this guy Snow Skater 101 right here on eBay. I just write him on one of his other listings for something that's not fitting mine. Just send him a message. I ask him for the sizes I want and he makes them for me. and then you order them, and voila, there they are. So now I've got my cool spacers I can put this wheel on. And that's how you get rid of that big 80s ugly wheel. Keep you from looking like Prince in the purple rain riding down the road.